So if you're a natural lifter, meaning you're not using needles to shoot up every time you go to the gym and inject yourself and you're on some type of gear, then you play by a completely different set of rules than non-natural lifters. Just the other day, I saw some guy on Instagram, swole as fuck. And in his description, he said, my full workout isn't a link in his bio. And as jacked as this dude was, it was tempting to check it out. But then I checked out more of his profile. He's IFBB Pro bodybuilder, which when you're in that league, you're on steroids. Every IFBB Pro bodybuilder will tell you, you got to get on gear, on steroids in order to compete. I immediately clicked off that as soon as I realized that. And it's not just him, it's all these insanely freakish bodybuilders. Some of your favorite influencers, 6 to 7 days a week, high volume, high reps, 3-hour workouts, lifting insane weight at the same time, and expect to be able to do the same thing, get the same results in the same type of games because they're on steroids and you're not. So if you want to get muscle, get jacked, grow that aesthetic physique without taking steroids, then you're going to have to approach it a lot differently from your favorite bodybuilders and influencers. And the basics of it is you have to get insanely strong and insanely good at the compound movements and your favorite exercises. But then also focus on recovery, something that non-natural lifters don't have to worry too much about. The reason why people on steroids make gains so easily is because they can damn near lift as much weight as they want, max out every single week, recover, and then max out again the next week and probably lift more weight than they did the last week. They can have bad recovery. They can eat just basically anything without having to have a strict diet. They can have workouts that are not as effective as building muscle as what you're doing and probably still make more gains. But if you're natural, you have to maximize your workout and really focus on making every single set that you do count. Do every single set like it's the last set that you're doing in a gym. This means making every single rep as hard as you can. And by making it as hard as you can, those include things like controlling the weight with proper form. Don't just go in there to lift weights and move weights around. Focus on making the weights, the weightlifting, as hard as you can. Challenge your muscle as much as you can. It's about getting outside your comfort zone when you're really trying to build muscle as a natural lifter. And recovery is going to be the biggest factor if you want to maximize your gains. And that means you can't be wasting time and your energy and your strength on junk volume when you're focusing on recovery. You have to be intentional with every single set that you do. So how do you build muscle and mass as a natural lifter? Well, this means that you have to do a specific set of exercises. Of course, compound movements, isolation movements. And don't switch the exercises just because you feel like you want to add some variety. Pick your specific set of exercises, master them, and then get better at it with progressive overload. So let's take the bodyweight pull-ups, for example, to start this workout. One of the best exercises for building an aesthetic body. When you get to the point, or if you're already at that point, where you can do bodyweight pull-ups for 10 or more reps, when you get it into the double-digit reps, then that's when you're going to want to start adding weight. Getting into too high repetition is not going to challenge your muscles enough to make you achieve hypertrophy and achieve muscle growth. So then increase the weight. And the way you increase the weight on pull-ups is, of course, doing weighted pull-ups. So you want to increase the weight on pull-ups and find a weight that's so heavy that you can only do it for single-digit reps again, like 4, 5, 6 reps. And once you get down to it being so heavy that you can only do it for that many reps, that's when you want to start mastering that again, getting that amount of weight to double-digit reps again, 10 or more reps. That's a principle of what's called progressive overload. And also cut the quantity of your workouts. If you're doing exercises that has you in the gym for like 3 hours, 3.5 hours or more, don't focus so much on quantity, instead focus on the quality of the workout. And in terms of the quantity that you want to do, if you're going heavy and going close to failure on each one, usually, ideally, 3 working sets, 3 quality working sets. It's good enough volume to properly work that muscle because you're not on steroids. So if you're natural, you actually need more rest days than you think, not less. I did get up to a point myself, because I've made this mistake, where I was going to the gym 6 days a week, sometimes 7. If I just work out a different muscle every single day, then the other muscles will have enough time for recovery and for rest. I worked out chest yesterday, so if I work out legs the next day and then a completely different muscle on the next day and just keep doing that 7 days a week, that'll be no problem. The muscles that I'm not hitting while I work out the other muscle, that muscle will have time to recover, and I can just keep working out 7 days a week, but even that does not work. That leads to overtraining, and basically leaves less time for you to eat the amount of food that you need to trigger proper muscle growth. You're gonna have to eat a lot of food because you are natural, you're not on steroids. Having off days to eat food is gonna be vitally important. So now my exercise days are 4 days a week, sometimes 5, depending on external factors, but 4 days a week is about what I do now in order to get the physique that I've gotten. Training 4 days a week, at the most 5 days a week, using upper-lower split, and those working sets should be taken close to failure, where you only have about 1 more rep left in the tank before you fail on the workout. And then make sure that you're tracking your lifts. You want to be recording what you're doing so you know what you have to beat the next week, so you know how much more weight or how many more reps you have to do the next week than you did the previous week, because that's how you're going to make progress, and that's how your muscles are going to grow once you're making that kind of progress. If you don't know how much weight you lifted and how many reps you did the last week, you're not going to be able to make any progress on your lifts because you're doing random numbers that don't correlate with the workouts that you've done previously. And you want the progress of your workouts to trend in the upward direction. It's not always going to go up. You know, what it will pretty much always go up is when you're on steroids. But when you're a natural lifter, your progress is not always going to go up. So you have to make sure that you're recording your workouts, tracking your workouts to know what you did, so you can keep it going up as much as you can, focus on recovery, and then quality of your workouts.